Hello, folks. Welcome to another date on Journalist Hangout. It's a midweek. I am Citizen Jones Hussein. Today on the program, President Buhari launches attack on former President Obasanjo at National Assembly. Imo State Governor Okorocha vows not to leave the APC for anybody, and later on, we'll share this with you. Emir Sanusi asks federal government to prioritize spending. He says 1.4 trillion naira spent on subsidy is imprudent. Okay, I'm hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Jide, good evening, welcome.
I agree with Citizen.
We also have Mustafa Ogunshaki. Ramadan Karim, I greet you.
Thank you very much.
And of course, Asupo James is here. Okay, the team is ready. I hope you are too. Okay then, squabbles or feudings are natural phenomena amongst human and therefore should not be seen as anything unusual or out of the ordinary. But when two presidents, the first a former number one and the other an incumbent, feud, it should not be taken out of context, especially if the action is done without an animus. President Muhammadu Buhari came down heavily on former helmsman Olusegun Obasanjo when he accused him of bragging about a $16 billion investment in the power sector without anything to show for it. In an animated response, though, ex-President Obasanjo says, "You are speaking out of ignorance. I'm ready for a probe." But let's hear the president when he made the comment. Come with us.
You know the rail was killed. And one of the former heads of state, between that time, was bragging that it spent more than 15 billion American dollars, not naira, on power. Where is the power? Where is the power? And now we have to pay the debt. And this year's and last year's budget I took to the National Assembly was the highest in capital projects, more than 1.3 trillion naira. Let anybody come and confront me publicly in the National Assembly. What have they been doing? Some of them have been there for 10 years. What have they been doing?
Yeah, Jide, so they are feuding. You spent this much on electricity, nothing came out. You're telling a lie out of ignorance. You are not sure of the facts.
Yes, I think I warned the president and APC leaders against responding to Obasanjo. You can see that Obasanjo has succeeded in getting under the president's skin, and that's what he wanted to achieve. Irritate the president as much as he can. And we are seeing the president respond to being irritated.
He's human, Jide.
Yes, so at the end of the day, Obasanjo has achieved his aim. The man is best
of rattling
the president.
And getting him out of his shell?
Yes, because the president is naturally calm in matters like this. You can see that for a long time, Obasanjo had been attacking him and he didn't respond. But we've seen now that it's all been bottled up all these months.
So, think perhaps to explode?
Yes, now we saw this opportunity yesterday and he showed anger. And in showing anger, the president also showed his weak side. There was no time that Obasanjo bragged about spending $15 billion. The president said 15 billion. Many people say 16.
16.
There was no time that Obasanjo spent that kind of money. And he has never bragged about it.
No, two things you are saying. There was no time
I will explain.
he spent. Okay.
I will explain. All that the Obasanjo regime spent was just between $6.3 billion to $6.5 billion, not 16 billion. It was the former president, the late President Yaradua actually said 10 billion was invested. He didn't say wasted. The word he used was invested, and it was only Vanguard newspaper that accurately reported what the president then said. Other Nigerian newspapers claimed that he said wasted. Now, the Meji Bankole famously now added 6 billion to 10 billion that Yaradua was quoted as saying. And when Yaradua said that at that time, I remember that the secretary of the NIPP, or the Integrated Power Project scheme at that time, the secretary told the president that, look, they didn't spend up to this amount. He was eventually sacked because of that. And then the president, who stopped all the NIPP, stopped the projects because he wanted to investigate. And we lost 2 years. He set up the panel, and the panel returned a verdict of 6.5. On that panel were CBN staff and other stakeholders. So when people talk about 16 billion, 10 billion, this is all lies. The government didn't spend that kind of money.
The man standing on the sidelines would wonder where the speaker, number 4, got the information from.
Yes, but he has not told Nigerians. He knew virtually nothing about the thing. And the government of the day at that time set up a panel. This matter, the matter of how much was spent, was decided as far back as 2010. So nobody spent 16 billion, and nobody bragged about it.
All right.
That he spent 16 billion.
Mustafa, for me, it's not about the figure. Money was spent. Yes. Hard currency was spent on power. But the footnote, the addendum is, where is the power? Where is the power?
I find it amusing. While all Nigerians are suffering, some people are still bragging about this is what we spent or not spent, rather than looking at the groanings of the people and trying to find a solution to it. When 2 elephants, they say, fight, it is the grass that suffers.
Please remember to tell them when they also are engaged in a love tango outside the mother, it's the same grass, but go on.
Of course, you know. But so Nigerians are out there. Their businesses are not going on fine due to power failure. I mean, I don't know how many people can boast of having between 5 and 10 hours electricity.
I think it's even worse
today in Nigeria. And here you have the president. It's not as if anything has improved. Why the president has to even come about the electricity something? It beats me. It beats me. Let
me tease you a little. If we had power up to 18, 20 hours a day, the APC and perhaps Muhammadu Buhari may not have come. I'm wrong. I may be wrong.
In the first instance. But then, if you are looking at, they have been in office now for over a period of time, the equipment minister of power and housing and whatever, Babatunde Fajita SAM, as the governor of Lagos State, said that it is an unserious government that we will look at that. It doesn't take a serious government to take 6 hours.
Then.
It was governor then.
Now he's a minister.
It's now on the hot seat.
They're still, okay.
You understand what I'm trying to say, the citizen? Look, what I'm trying to say is that it is not as if these people have made this fantastic improvement in the in the power sector. It's not as if there's a fantastic improvement that has been made. We are still suffering the same old thing. And they have been in office too for almost, for 3 years. We don't have any
Mustafa, you know this is the debate, but let me get to Asuko. Asuko, you is wondering why he was waiting for this moment, but you have the BSO, Buhari Support Organization. What other platform would he have hoped for?
It's election period, whether we like it or we don't. This is election. Election is already staring us. The build-up is already on. So this is the only time, I believe this is the only time. It's even better that he's even speaking here and he has not gone out to God, to say this. is saying this where people who is going to marshal his campaign, they are around and telling them these are the problems that we are facing. These are the things that we have been facing for a very long time. But my own is, I don't know why the president is always going past leaders this, past leaders that. Nigerians didn't actually vote the president to tell us about the past leaders. We voted him for him to solve problems. And by now, during this election period, like we were saying back in the newsroom, he shouldn't be telling us about the past. He should be telling us what he has done. Goodluck Jonathan actually lost majorly because they were not telling us on time what Goodluck Jonathan has been doing. And the present administration, they are also moving towards that line. They should be telling us what they are doing. And for the Buhari campaign organization to have gone there,
support organization,
not
to have gone there, because
okay,
the
support,
CG,
okay, the support organization.
Yeah.
It means that was just the right time for him to, say his mind. Just like Jide said, he has been bottling up that. And then for somebody, I think why he actually made that comment was because someone of his own caliber, Hamid Ali, was around.
And I was even wondering
why
Hamid Ali
to
should
say
be
things,
the head of Buhari support organization.
to say things that ordinarily any other person maybe around will not. So he had to come up to say that.
Let's listen to Asoko.
He had to just say those things so that somebody that is around him, who will also help in doing the campaign and all, will say, okay, when this is what happened in time, and this is the leader that actually did this. And I think I like how Obasanjo has said, okay, probe me. So what we should be looking for is to ask the president to probe him.
Is it about probing him, Jide, but the problem is on the floor. I even though Mustafa was a little diplomatic in tackling what I put on his plate, if we had power, power is at issue here. I mean, if
Seriously.
we had power,
Electricity
is at issue here. So, but why did Obasanjo not also make to solve it? And in retorting, he said, you are reacting based on ignorance. You are not sure of your facts.
Let me say that Obasanjo had no reason in 8 years to not give us electricity, consistent electricity. When he got into office, we had about 7 power plants. Jeba, Kainji, Sapele, Egbin, Afam, the rest of them. Shiroro. Some of them were hydro plants, Egbin, thermal plants. So what he concentrated on at that time was just refurbish the equipment. The equipment had not been overhauled for years. Since 1982, the bulk of the Nigerian power equipment had not seen real...
Like our refineries now.
Yes. The refineries have suffered years of neglect. And that's why they are in the state that they are now. So Obasanjo thought that by regenerating the equipment, replacing equipment and all that he will be able to solve the problem. But he didn't look at the generating capacity of even those power plants, which stood at about 1,500.
Collectively?
Yes. Ordinarily, Kainji alone should give you 700 megawatts, the installed capacity.
Yeah.
But after many years of neglect, I mean, it will be tough to be expecting Kainji to give you 700 megawatts. And at one point, it was the biggest source of electricity generation. Later, Egbin overtook it and all that. So the mistake he made at that time was that he didn't think of building power plants early in his administration.
Yeah.
If he had thought about, because it was like 6 months to the end of the administration that we saw that he ramped up efforts to bring these power plants on board, Papalanto, Omotosho, Olonshogo,
the one at Calabar.
Geregu in Kogi, and the rest of them. So, you see, power plants, when you are building a house, you build the house and then you move in your furniture. But with power plants, you first build the furniture before you build the house. It's just like someone saying, oh, it's like someone accusing the president today that, where is the Tucano? They will first go and and manufacture those what's it called, those fighter jets, and then bring to you. Okay. It's not like you can buy them on the shelf.
Okay.
The same thing with power plants. You build the turbines. You build the turbines and other machinery. So it takes time. So by the time the Obasanjo saw that the way to go was to build new power plants like Omotosho, that will give us 500 megawatts. Just Omotosho alone will give us 500 megawatts, you know, which will do better than Kainji. Yeah. It was late. So, but government is a continuum. And at the end of the day, those power plants were there. To say that there was nothing on ground is a lie from the pit of hell. Because even in Ilorin, in Gomo, the hometown of Justice Salami in Gomo, they call the place a checking point in Ilorin. There was a power plant. But the moment Yaradua came in, he stopped those NIPPs, those independent power projects, he stopped them. And some of the contractors left Nigeria. Bukola Saraki had to call them back.
Advisedly?
He called them back.
Stopped them.
He stopped them because he wanted to investigate corruption and all that. So we lost 2 years. But Bukola Saraki called back those contractors in Gomo, Kwara State, and got them to finish the project. So by the time that administration came back, we had lost time. But Goodluck Jonathan, it is on record that Goodluck Jonathan completed those projects. Because I know
Omotosho means what?
Those power plants that Obasanjo, the 10 power plants that Obasanjo came up with,
Calabar one, which I saw the other day.
I said those plants that Obasanjo, the power plants that Obasanjo came up with, Geregu.
The one at Calabar between Akwa Ibom. No, I'm telling you, it's one of them. I know about this.
I have dates of commissioning of projects. I don't come here to say what I don't know.
No,
I have dates.
We can't.
Omotosho was commissioned on October 19, 2013.
I'm not quarreling with that.
Like, leave what you have seen.
In
some cases, let me tell you.
Completed, commissioned.
Yes. I said.
Did you start generating power?
Yes, you generate. When you commission, what's the.
Okay.
Egbe power plant, for example, they even went as far as building, what's it called? Another plant. The B unit. The B unit of it, they built the B unit to move Egbe generation to 1,350. This was done under Goodluck Jonathan. Omotosho was commissioned under Goodluck Jonathan. Olorunsogo was commissioned. And the problem that we had at that time was, how do we get gas supply to those power plants? He also addressed the problem. There were mistakes that Obasanjo made. For example, it's possible that that he couldn't complete some of those things. Look at Alauji, for example. You needed to transport the turbine over the Imo River, and there was no bridge. Because the turbines are heavy. The bridge that they had over the Imo River, if you put those turbines on it, the bridge will collapse. So in siting a power plant at Alauji, you didn't think of how to move the turbine to that place. Okay. And the turbines were rotting away at the port. So we had all kinds of problems. You know? So and that's why I said he had no reason not to give us electricity supply.
Emmanuel Lagos, give us a little... I'm sorry, it's about you, but then let's thrash this out. Mustafa, you know the cross-country cable lines,
yes, the grid, national grid,
cannot take more than 5,000 megawatts. That's also a problem, which perhaps informed Obasanjo's power plants across the country. But Akwa Ibom, for instance, generates from Ikorabasi 109 megawatts. But it feeds it into the national grid. It returns to Eket, from Eket to Port Harcourt, and nothing comes. So distribution, there are still teething problems.
It's not only teaching problems. The national grid as it is today, to my own understanding, is the Herculean problem that we have in terms of electricity. And I remembered some times ago, just before this administration was sworn in, I was privileged to be with the vice president. And the idea that he said that I thought that was really going to work was that people will be invited to generate electricity.
And states.
I mean, if even private organizations, that even if it's only one street or one state that you can do, that they will allow people to come in and do it and have something to do about the national grid. Unfortunately, I don't think they have not been able to do that.
Amended because it's on the exclusive list.
Unfortunately, nothing has been done about that.
You remember, none of us here will forget that in Asiwaju's first term, he brought in Enron and he was fought to the ground, you know.
Coincidentally, the vice president now was the Attorney General in Lagos State then. And he knew what they suffered, what even Lagos State suffered. And I think, unfortunately, too, Shibolagi was the Minister of Mines and Power then.
Yeah.
So much so to the extent that
his first portfolio.
After the project was nearly scuttled. And Lagos State kept on paying over a period of time.
Yeah.
Despite the fact, because the federal government didn't allow that project to take place. They were against
Federal government under Obasanjo.
Under Obasanjo then.
Yeah, yeah.
They were against it. They were purely against it. They didn't want a situation where, I mean, it has to do with the laws as it were then. You know, as at that time we still have this NEPA Act, we have electricity on the exclusive list. So there was little.
Still is there.
There was
If you
little
generate anything above 50 megawatts, you must feed it
to the national
The
grid.
national grid.
So even in politics,
So you that you generated, you may not even get the
you
electricity.
won't get it. You won't get it. Even the politics behind all these things,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
All right, please, let me quickly take Johnson in Kaduna. Welcome. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody.
Yep.
I think this very administration, they are making very grievous mistakes. The mistake they are making is this. When they first came in, nothing was invested on power. They were busy telling us then body language, that life was stable because of the president's body language. And we all know that during rainy season, especially when the rain is done, we have stable power. It is every year in, year out. So instead of investing, they were telling us the body language. Now the president made one statement, and I believe he shot himself at the foot with that statement. He said the budget he sent 2016, 2017, the highest that anybody can come and confront him. The highest, yes, if it is the highest, where is the result? For that being the highest. The light you don't see, yet he says the highest budget so far. Continuous attacking the previous administration is not the way forward. We believe so much in these people at the initiative. As former governor of Lagos, the present minister of power and power, they said any government that cannot fix. In fact, the way he described the 6, I think he said 6 months then to fix the power. But now, yes, nothing is done. Our president is attacking OBJ then. Although I don't blame Mr. President. I think we should blame those whose responsibilities are to tell the president the facts and figures. The president will not have the time to dig into these facts and figures. It is what he was told that he just came on air to tell the people 16 billion is not. He doesn't get it far. And you don't malign the character of your previous administration because they are criticizing you.
Johnson. Thank you, Johnson. Asoko, when you hear that Nigeria supplies electricity to some neighboring countries, you are wondering where that power comes from. Or have we stopped?
We are still, I know Niger and Ghana, they still get electricity from us.
So where will that power come from?
It's from the same national grid that we are all, it's just like a pot of soup that everybody is digging, you know. So
it's difficult. Hold on. Combined.
No, the thing
Niger, hold on. Ghana is about 50-something million. Let me do Entebbe mathematics. Okay. Ghana is 56 million. Niger is 14, 15. and we can't supply electricity here.
And they are enjoying all-round electricity.
No, they get from us,
Benin Republic
and
too.
also generate.
Yes.
You know, so that is what they are doing. They get from
generate
us.
the shortfall.
Yes, and then the shortfall is from Nigeria. The thing is, in Nigeria, I remember when I think early last year, I was privy to a conference where the Minister of Power and Works was. He lamented that there are so many issues around the power sector.
Yeah.
One, even if we generate up to 10,000 megawatts, to distribute to be a problem.
Don't evacuate.
They can't.
Okay.
You know, one, we are even the consumers will not be able to pay.
And we are not, able to tell the politics of electricity generation and supply and all that.
Definitely.
But let the debate continue. But let me rub this in. It is very, very natural across Africa for politicians to make promises.
Fail.
Whether they fail or not, but they must make promises. Now, still to come, Imo State Governor Okorocha vows not to leave the APC for anybody. You must be interested in that. We'll be back after this break. All right, then, let's take you to Imo State. You know, vows are words spoken by men, and when they are broken, they are much like staring at a broken mirror. All you see are fractured images of you. Embattled Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State appears to be staring at a political mirror that he is not holding. According to our man, he became the propeller of the All Progressives Congress APC in the southeastern part of Nigeria against the odds. And so he cannot be goaded into jumping ship. The party has a national spread and he should take the credit. Now let's watch this.
The most peaceful, and we may have to give you a copy of that to review and see for yourself in person or online, that the Congress, Imo APC State Congress, took place yesterday, was very peaceful and was very, very successful, leading to the emergence of executive members of Imo APC Executive Council. I would like to confirm that the actual venue of the Congress, in the circumstance of yesterday, was the Federal NDDC Youth Center at Umweze, Mbano. Federal NDDC Youth Center, Umweze, Mbano, and that is actually a federal facility. Sure. One of the biggest facilities you can ever find in the state. Was built by the federal government through the NDDC, and it wasn't in anybody's private property.
Okay then, Imo Governor Okorocha says, you can't push me off this ship. I was party to bringing the ship to Southeast.
Yeah. You know, he said something a few days back that he could actually win on the platform of ABGA. So many people interpreted that to mean that he was heading back to ABGA. And then we started reading the comments of ABGA members that, look, don't come, you are not welcome.
You won't be re-admitted.
They won't take you back, this and that. So the governor now had to come out to say, see, I have no plan to leave the APC. I cannot be pushed out of the APC. I will remain in the APC. I helped to build the party. And that's true. In the Southeast, I don't know of any figure who has made the kind of contributions that Okorocha has made to the APC. He has done so much to make the APC popular in the Southeast. In fact, nobody has campaigned for power to shift to the Southeast as much as Okorocha has done. And everywhere he goes, he tells them that, look, Buhari is the man who can make power go to the southeast.
Yeah.
So he's been actually pushing for the president to be supported by people from the southeast. Even during the Anambra election, the days leading to the Anambra election, he played a big part. He was there and saying, look, what we now enjoy as APC members, you can as well enjoy if you vote for the APC candidate and all that. So he's done so much to sell that party in the southeast. But he's going through torrid times now because of the differences that he has with the party, the national chairman. He led as chairman of the APC Governors Forum. He mobilized his colleagues to insist on having these congresses instead of the tenure elongation by fiat that they were planning. Just as the president too had and the vice president had advised. So he's been punished for that because the organizing...
punished, that's your words.
Yes, and I stand by it. He's been punished because what they are doing at the national level is the chairman of the APC, the national chairman, that determines, is the one who appointed chairman of organizing committee for congresses across the states. Yeah. And then they are the ones who tell you this is the faction to recognize. That's what is happening. Exactly. We've seen some states which some factions did not even know where Congress will hold. Yes. So they are effectively shut out. And that's what happened to the governor. How can the governor of a state not know where the Congress was taking place in his state? Exactly. So the materials were handed over to his opponents.
Who by?
By the organizing committee chairman.
At the national level.
From the national level. That's what they did. It's the same thing that happened in Adamawa. They were totally shut out. These guys paid for forms, and they were begging, give us forms. They will not even give them forms. So when you cannot even lay your hands on ballot materials, how do you vote in the Congress? So Okorocha has been totally shut out of things. And then even when he went to court, and got injunction, late injunction last Friday, we all thought that the state Congress would not go ahead. But on Saturday, these people, in deference to the directive of the court, went ahead
they said
with
they
the
didn't
state.
see the court that they are not served.
They went ahead and had the Congress. So the governor is in a quandary now. Only God knows how this whole thing will be resolved at the end of the day.
Mustafa will agree that his travails sure have a starting point.
Yes, certainly it must have had a starting point. But he's not alone in this journey. Virtually all the congresses across the states for the party, the APC, has one problem or the other. In some places,
parallel congresses.
Even in Lagos, that we are told that, okay, everything is okay. We had the parallel congress. Although some people may be denying it now, but it happened. So we have two executives now in Lagos State. How they are going to resolve that is another thing entirely. But for Okorocha and his likes across, it does not lie in their hand. What is happening to them now is beyond them. They are overwhelmed. Everything is being controlled from Abuja. For instance, or look at Ekiti, for instance.
You don't think it is payback time?
Somebody is getting back at some people.
Yes.
That is what is happening. Somebody is getting back at some people. See, the contestants in the primaries in Ekiti, they identified a lot of problems. Some of them even said that the chairman of this committee or whatever is a friend of one of the candidates. Okay, let us do a general election, not by delegates again. They have agreed among themselves.
No, that one would not have worked.
They said it's not going to work.
But that one will have amounted to changing the rule in the course of the game.
Exactly.
They wanted direct primaries.
They were in a crisis. They were in a crisis, and they thought that would have been the way out. They all agreed. 33 of them, they all agreed among themselves.
But the
central said no. that they must.
That was even the suggestion of the Southwest leaders.
That they must
of the party.
stick to
But
the
the
subject.
center did
But
not agree.
in that process, it is not the Ekiti people or the APC in Ekiti that is the problem. Somebody somewhere is trying to get even with
somebody
in the Southwest, the national leadership in the Southwest. And that is the same thing is
So by
displayed
showing
out.
that their suggestion
Exactly.
does not carry the day.
Yeah, that is what is happening.
James, and we, if anything, I think Nigerian politicians must make the country safe for democracy. You know, because when they make you and I and Jide and Mustafa get to a table like this to discuss their business, then it defies simple logic. You know, I have said it more than once at this forum, when Papa and Mama, they fight, must children know?
Why would they? Are they not the ones that brought them?
No. Because I say it, even if for the
That example, I don't agree with.
No, I can't remember when my parents quarreled throughout until they passed. But I'm saying APC has internal wranglings. Must it affect?
They are the
We
ruling
are
party.
talking about people that has no shame.
They are the ruling party.
No,
Part of the Nigerian
greed
politics
is at the root
is
of
shame.
this.
Shame. They don't, it's not.
Greed is
if
at
you
the
are-
root of
if you-
this.
If you have integrity that you think that you don't want to do something shameful,
when
you
greed
can't
comes in,
participate.
There's nothing they definitely
Just
they have to.
With all the sense of the wind.
Decency.
That is just it.
And
you
to
know.
think that they're not going to plunge this country into something, I don't think that.
No,
will happen.
see, every politician has
The handwritten is, I mean, it's
has
on
a
the wall.
reason. Every politician has a reason for doing things, and that is for his own interest.
Most of the things they do are not necessarily mistakes.
No, they are not. They already know. Just like this Imo incident. We know that there was a controller from Abuja. Then the governor himself just made the job easy for them. In the sense that right down in Imo State,
No, yes,
you know,
there was a gang
there
up
was
against
already a
them.
gang up
A big
against
gang
him.
up.
A very big
Without
one.
He himself knowing.
No.
He knows.
He
You
knew.
know. And why?
I think
was
that
in control.
he
He
should
knows.
have. He should have.
You know,
kind
sat
of-
down and
He should have closed the cracks.
Exactly.
Before
You know,
this
before
time.
this
How
crisis,
can we
before the
have
World
a
Congress
situation in which your deputy
is against you.
The chairman of the party in the
Is
state
is against you.
The deputy chairman of the party is against you.
Some
it's
the
like a
lawmakers
big,
are also
big gang
against
up
you.
within
Why
the
would they not
state.
be
So it will be
against
easy for
So
Abuja
yeah,
to.
it's
Why would
just
they not,
very
why would they not
easy
be
for
against him when he was projecting his son-in-law to take over from him?
you know. So that even made
have
the
problems.
very easy.
No,
constitutionally, he can.
The son-in-law can contest.
He can contest.
But the thing is,
Morally,
what they have
morally.
done is even beyond that. When you see people like Ararume, these are big politicians. They have their
And
own
Hope
agenda.
Uzodinma.
He wants to be governor. So whoever the governor wants to bring, whether it's his in-law or he wants to bring or someone else, they will resist him because they too have their eyes on the price.
You see, the
They
thing
have
is,
their eyes on the price.
right now, that group, they are like a moving train.
They crush it.
They were ready to crush the
So
governor.
with the mandate of
Up there.
Babawe, there's nothing.
Everybody.
Under this, I don't know now, it has to take, maybe it's President Buhari who can step in and say, look, or maybe if Oshiomhole takes over, he can say, look, there are some primaries
Well, they
that we
need
want
to
to
do
do
an-
something
okay,
about, because I know they are
Takes
talking
over
about
or
that.
wins the chairmanship.
If he wins the chairmanship, as he's working hard, reaching out to
Yeah.
people, if he wins it, they can have a second look at some of those problematic congresses of the party, like Adamawa and the rest of them. Because if you look at Adamawa,
so many.
it's similar. What is happening in Adamawa is that unlike what is happening in Imo,
Imo.
all the big politicians
Have been moved, sidelined.
shunted aside by the governor. The Unyakos of this world, the Ribadus,
Exactly.
the Marwas,
Yeah.
they are all on
one side.
different- So can you afford to let all of them leave the party in frustration?
Mr. Gidi does not know that the governor is seeing what the others are not seeing. But again, let the debate continue. And Nigerian politicians must make the country safe for democracy. We insist on that.
Yes.
Okay then. Well, in bearing this, I want to say, but the Okorocha incident is a metaphor for what's happening across the country, not just APC. When we have intra-party problems, not to talk of inter-party problems, intra-party problems. It affects followership.
Seriously.
Yes, definitely.
Seriously.
Definitely, because
Seriously.
it is the followers that determines who the leaders are. So if
they must find a way to resolve
they
it.
just have to.
They
So
don't
it means
resolve it.
it is the governor, but I think the best thing is for the governor to call the governor, maybe the president will have to call, just
Someone
like he did
else
for
will
Ekiti,
call them.
you know, so
Someone
that they will
IO.
sit down,
Someone has to call them.
for
Someone
them
IO.
to sit down and
Otherwise,
decide.
this thing they
PDP
may
is going to take over
yes,
that seat.
both they may
If they
they may
continue
lose
like
at the end of the day. The two
He's
camps.
speaking.
No, because I served in Imo, so I know what I'm saying.
Asubo is speaking from
No,
the
it's
mountain.
even the crisis. If you remember in 2015, is the crisis in the PDP.
Yes.
Ararume
Yeah,
and
that brought in this
that made this
Okorocha.
Okorocha to win.
All right, then, let's take on our last subject matter. A crank once said, let me quote him, "You can have a master's degree in making money, but you will end up broke if you have a PhD in spending." I hope that makes sense. A variant of this saying is the one that goes, "You may spend a lot of money buying dresses, but spend your best time going naked." Let me bring it home. The Emir of Kano and former CBN Governor Alhaji Muhammadu Sanusi II appears to have accentuated the positive when he opined that the federal authorities can improve on allocation efficiency by being more prudent. To him, spending 1.4 trillion naira on fuel subsidy defies elementary logic, Jide.
Yeah, and because the same Emir of Kano had told us repeatedly that there was no subsidy, that some people were feeding fat from subsidy. So, as a man who has conscience, maybe where he sat in his palace, is asking himself that I condemned the idea of subsidy during Jonathan's era. How come subsidy is still being paid at this time? But, as I said some time ago, the president must not think, because the substitute to not paying subsidy now is to increase fuel price. The president cannot afford to increase fuel price at this time. It will be, petrol is a security product. It will lead to big crisis. So whatever the emir or anybody says, it should just keep the price where they are. We have not even survived, we have not recovered from the inflation that the last increase induced. Prices of goods and services went up. Prices of cost of transportation went up. Transport fares went up. So we have no choice now. They must continue to pay this subsidy. The NNPC does not want to call it subsidy because it sounds bad. They are saying, oh, they call it operating loss. You know, what they do is, once they sell crude oil, they will take the subsidy element, they will take it, they will net it off from the receivable sum of money, and then use that as subsidy. So NNPC is paying subsidy to itself, which is also wrong, because someone else has to determine. As we speak today, nobody knows exactly how much crude oil we sell. DPR's, according to 90 report, DPR's figures of crude oil sales was different from that of NNPC. So
but
we don't
NNPC had told you crude is stolen, and the figures are mixed. You are not sure how many.
We don't know.
Yeah.
What I'm even saying, NNPC itself is a corruption behemoth. So for NNPC that has been known over the years for corruption, to be allowed the latitude of determining how much subsidy that it should deduct, I think it is wrong. But at this stage, yes, 1.4 trillion is a lot of money. But what is the alternative?
It is.
The president, if he tries to increase fuel price at this time, it will be suicidal. So it should just leave it the way it is. Let's manage it the way it is.
You are not thinking for the president.
But I can advise him as a patriot.
You can.
Until that refinery that we are relying on, until Dangote's refinery is ready, We have no choice. Our refineries are literally dead. So what do? You must still import.
Mustafa, being prudent at spending is key here. That's what Emir Sanusi is saying.
Yes.
And so you are wondering how frugal this government can be if it is really true.
The Emir Sanusi is not a stranger to all these things. What I'm expecting is that I want the federal government to actually come out to say whether the figures that he bandied is right or wrong. But for an administration that condemned the previous administration over this subsidy issue and now going around to call it by another name and still doing the same thing, for whatever reason, I think it needs to be looked into. It needs to be looked into. Because that was the platform on which the Jonathan administration was condemned. I even remember that even under Jonathan, even as a presently, some people are still going through trial. They are going on through trial for scam from petroleum subsidy scam. They are still in court.
Yeah.
Now, for the emir to have said this, and it's not a man that you can take his words lightly.
No.
I think.
You remember when he said a certain $20 billion was missing, and
they nearly even impeached him. They nearly removed him. They nearly dethroned him.
They didn't renew it. So he knew they would not renew it, quickly resigned.
No, even there was even a crisis. You know, he had been silent over a period of time. He had not been talking.
That's under this administration.
Yes. You know, that some people are making moves to even dethrone him then.
Because he was attacking his governor.
All right. Don't take us back to ugly politics. Asokwa is harping on GDP and stresses electricity as a major factor of production. So,
yeah, exactly. Just like it's bringing back the electricity issue. You know, if we have stable electricity, like 18 hours, 10 hours, 18 hours, in major areas, major cities in Nigeria, we will not be talking about are we still being poor or are Nigerians lazy, in quotes. I know, like a week or 2 weeks ago, the vice president was in area. There's a part, yes, in Aba. There's a one small power plant that is there. It now produces light. It gives light to that neighborhood alone.
Yeah.
And I know the volume of money, the cash that they make in area every day.
Area that was supposed to be the Japan of Nigeria.
Japan of Nigeria. So you can see,
and Africa.
And they are happy. They were happy when they saw the vice president.
Textiles and all that.
Everything, shoes.
Oh, I remember about textile mills.
All these. Exactly. Very good.
As a youth corps member, I used to buy clothes and sell in the kitchen.
That's what
from
exactly.
Yes,
yes.
I buy clothes, give it to my mom to sell.
What we do then? We go, because I know I served in Owerri. Once my Alawi comes, I just go to Aba. We'll buy those clothes, we'll come to Lagos. Because that is what they do. Most of the clothes that you see in Lagos, they go to Aba.
James,
so
Asoko, imagine what we have done to ourselves.
You understand? So the only thing we need is just that power. And Sanusi is just saying, let's just be transparent. This subsidy that we've been paying, if we know how much we spend on subsidy, we can even build another refinery. Like 2-3 refineries, and then this will even solve most of the problem, because we don't even need every day. Do you know, people pay a lot of money. I was counting how much I spend on petrol every week.
Even me.
I'm just wondering, why can't I just have power supply? Then I'll be paying half of that money that I pay.
Because
for
3,000
in 2 days.
You are buying for your car, buying for the house.
You buy for the house.
At the end of the month, IKDC or whatever they call themselves, we still come to give you a
bill again.
Not less than 5,000 naira
that you
didn't use. That you didn't use.
We've not been able to stop them.
In the house, you have a
We've not been able to stop them from giving us estimated billing. We've not been able to stop them.
But I thought the National Assembly broached the subject matter for a while.
As long as they cannot supply meters to everybody. As long as they can't supply meters to everybody.
Which is saying these things are willful, because the problems are man-made.
At the outset of the privatization exercise, supply of meters to the consumer, to the electricity consumers, will have been made mandatory.
Yeah.
But what the issue is, these guys did not have capacity. But they ended up taking over these public utilities. Now, they are even waiting for government to give them bailouts. We're giving them bailouts in excess of 100 billion. We gave them before. So they don't have capacity. I've not seen where you sell something to someone and after you sold it, you are still giving that person money to manage what you sold to him.
Even when you give them, they're even still owing the government.
Is that they are forcing the people, and this will soon lead to crisis. They are forcing the people to pay. Maybe, and once you come to a person's house, you disconnect him, and it gets violent.
I know you didn't miss it. You may have a master's degree in making money. But when you have a PhD in spending, you are not making any money.
You are like a drunken sailor. Like a drunken sailor.
That's why I want the federal government
to
actually come out. How much are we getting in terms of? I mean, how much is this subsidy that is being removed?
They've already told you.
Let us know.
No. They called it a different name, but we know that is what is it. That's why I told you. The minister called it operating loss. Operating loss. That's what he called it. Because when he faced the Senate, I was listening to him. So he didn't want to call it a trading loss. Trading loss, I'm sorry, he called it trading loss. He didn't want to say, because when the cost of production, the landing cost is higher than the price that we buy it, someone has to take care of the differentials. So and that's what he called trading loss. He didn't want to call it and the higher the price, the higher the subsidy. Because right now I think it's moving from 77 to 80, oscillating between 77 to 80. Exactly. The subsidy cost has gone up.
I hear we must pack it all in for today, but let me thank Super James for coming.
Thank you so much.
Mustafa Ogunshaki, many thanks for your time. And of course, Jide, I greet you.
Thank you so much.
All right, so let the debate continue. You may have all the monies under the sun, but if you spend like the prodigal son, you are as good as poor. I'm out of here, but not before reminding you that this particular edition of the program has a repeat for 11 this evening. And of course, you can watch Journalists Hangout on other platforms we are showing you now on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel remains the same. I'm Jones Hussein. Bye-bye for now, and God bless our country.